Everybody, Mudslinger Tool back at you. Today we're going to be going over making a yard game called washer toss. I call it a yard game. You can throw it out in the yard if you want. The reason I made it, we have a few friends and families parties, and it's getting a little cold outside. You can't be outside throwing bags or horseshoes. And this, if you got 15, 18 foot, you can set it up in your garage. You got an attached garage, something a little bit warm. You got detached garage, and you got a little heater or something like that. You can throw it out there. Just fun during a party. Maybe you got nothing to do, then sit around and drink and stare at each other. But now you can sit around and drink and throw washers. We'll get to it. I already made these, but what I'm going to go over with you is the amount of wood you need, what you need to put them together, how you need to put them together, the dimensions, the feet apart, the dimensions of the washers, where you can buy them, yada yada, all that good stuff. And I'll show you guys what I did to make this relatively cheap. And if you weigh the cost to the fun, you can't beat it. Alright guys, so this is the washer toss. This is the box here. You got a box. You got the rim outside, made out of 2x4s. You got inside is a piece of PVC. And you got your washers. What you're gonna need to build this, you need a drill, a drill driver, some small bits, a larger bit, some screws, some wood glue. So we'll get to it. Alright, so we're going to take a piece of 3/4 inch thick plywood. I would go with 3/4 inch. You can go with 1/2 inch if you want, but you got to remember that you got to screw into the sides of these. So 3/4 inch would be better. Plus the fact that the washers are going to beat the hell out of it. You see all the washer marks on the 2x4s and everything. People make them out of 1/2 inch with 1x sides. If you make it out of 1/2 inch with 1x sides, the washers are just going to beat the shit out of them, and you're going to end up rebuilding them. I don't like to rebuild stuff, so that's how I got it. But anyhow, you got 17.5 by 17.5. So if you don't have access to a truck to buy a whole sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, which would be excessive anyhow, you could buy a 1/2 sheet of 1/4 inch plywood or 3/4 inch plywood. That would be, it would actually make 4 of these bottoms. So you would have roughly 18 inches at 17.5, but 18, 18, 18, and 18 on a 4x4 sheet. Then what you'll need is two, for one set of boxes, you'll need 2 8-foot 2x4s. So these are 19, 19, 19, and 19 for one box, which is slightly over a 6-foot 2x4. So you're gonna need 2 8-foots. You'll have a little bit of extra board, and then what you'll need is a piece of 4-inch PVC. This is only 2.5 inches tall. You'll have to cut 2 of them. And then we're going to anchor them in the middle with these 1" by 1" L brackets and a half inch by number 10 screw. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to take your plywood, you're going to cut it 17 and a half this way by 17 and a half that way. Make a square. Cut that, throw it off to the side. Then you're going to cut 2x4s that are 19 inches long. You got to cut them square. 19 inches. You need 4 2x4s that are 19 inches long. When you get that done, you're going to take your 2x4s. You're going to take a bit like this. Whatever screw you're going to use, I would suggest a 3 or a 3.5 inch screw. And then find a drill bit that is as big as the threads on the screw, because you don't want the screw to have any resistance when it's going through there. So you're going to line it up. You're going to drill through the first 2x4. You can barely touch this one if you want, and do that for 2 screws, one here, one there. So you can do that on the end. On this one you go that way, on this one you go that way, on this one you go this way. You just drill your holes in your 2x4s first. Once you get them all cut, you get them all drilled, take some wood glue. I just use Elmer's. You can actually use just Elmer's glue. It doesn't have to be anything special. She's always nosy. But you're gonna put it on the end of the 2x4, right down here where they join, and then screw them together and make a frame. After you do that, you're gonna stand your frame up like this. You stand your frame up like this. It's all screwed together. You're gonna take your 2 or 3 holes. You gotta remember that you got a 3/4 inch board down through here, or is gonna be. So you only want to go up maybe half an inch. Put your 3 holes in there. Flip it over. Do the same. Yada yada. Keep going all the way around. Now once you've done that, and you got your frame with all the holes in it all the way around, you're going to take your bottom board. You're going to go from each corner. See my little pencil lines here? They're strictly for nothing but centering this 4-inch PVC. So you're going to go, before they're in here, before you set it in the box, you're going to go from corner to corner and make you an X. You make that X so that you can center your PVC. But you have to do that before you put sides on it. Well, you don't have to. If you feel real adventurous, don't. But easier would be to do it beforehand. And then you have this X in there once you put the box together. Once you have that X in there, you stand this up. Well, technically I'd lay it down. You put your board in there, take a hammer it down to the edges. Make sure that it's flush here. You already have your holes. You take a 2-inch screw, and your 2-inch is what you're going to attach your boards with. So you can see, even if you countersink it a little bit, you're going to have about 1 inch into the board, into the bottom board. So you flush this up, put a screw in. I would go down to this one, flush this side up, put a screw in. On this side, wood's not perfect, so you might have to push it in. At the same time, you know, have somebody help you. Push this side in. At the same time you put that screw in. Flip it over. Do the next side. Put a screw in. All you got to do is make sure at the same time you're hammering this in and making sure that it's all flush with this outside 2x4. Alright, so once you've done that, you got your bottom board, you got your X across it, you made your frame, you pounded it down with a hammer down where it's flush, you anchored the bottom to the sides. You take your 4-inch PVC, you get a 1-inch by 1-inch L bracket. You take your L bracket while it's standing up on its side like this. Put this L here totally at the bottom of the L bracket while it's standing on its side. Mark it with a marker and a hole. You get a small bit. I got 3/30 seconds here. You don't need much. Take a 3/30 seconds. You put a hole in the PVC on each side here, where the L is going to be flush with the bottom. Once you have your holes in there, and you get a number 10 1/2-inch screw, and you use your drill driver, put it in here, put it in the other side, mount it to the PVC. Then you're going to take the PVC and you're going to do like this. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but because you have the X, you can pretty much understand where it's going to be. You center it on here. That's when you put your next screw into the wood, your next 1/2-inch screw. Put a 1/2-inch screw in here, put a 1/2-inch screw in there. Then we're all done, man. Alright guys, after you got your boxes made, you're gonna need washers. These are 2.5 inches wide washers. That's pretty much standard regulation for a washer toss. 2.5 inches wide, relatively thick. And you'll need 8 of them. You got 4 for each player. So you got 4 of these. We got 4 of these down here, so we can see what's going on. We got, so you can identify your washers from the other players' washers. So now, got our boxes set up. We'll say I'm not 15 foot apart from this right now, but we'll say that I am. We're gonna take these washers, we're gonna throw them. That sucked. Then the next player would throw on the other team. That sucked too. Go back to this guy. There you go. So you got a washer in the box. That's 1 point. Washer in the box, that's 1 point. So if we were to stop here, that would be no points. You got 1 point for this guy, 1 point for the other team. That cancels each other out, so you got no points. So the way the scoring goes, if you put a washer inside of this box, is 1 point. A washer inside of the PVC is 3 points. So you throw 15 foot apart, you throw, your opponent throws, you throw, your opponent throws, you throw, your opponent throws till you're through your 4 washers. Once your 4 washers are done, anything that, if it bounces here and goes into the box, it's dead, no points. If it bounces out of the box, like when we're in the garage, it bounces off a wall and bounces back into the box, no points. If it bounces here, bounces into here, that still counts. Anything in that PVC is 3 points. Anything in this box is 1 point. Just like bags, you can play teams. With teams, you'd have 2 people, 1 person on each side, in front of each box. Decide these people would throw that way first. After you calculate the points, then we would throw back this way, calculate the points, throw back that way. You play to 21, usually we play to 10, just because of the fact that once you start playing, you realize that it sounds pretty stupid, but it's relatively hard to keep a washer inside of this box, and it's really hard to get one in that PVC. And so that's pretty much, that's how you have it. That's your scoring. I went, by the way, on Amazon. I got washers. You get powder coated washers, 2.5 inches wide, for about $10 for a set of 8. You can get a lot more expensive ones depending on what you want to do, but I mean, you got to remember, you're just throwing them around. What I did do for the garage is I cut a piece of carpet that was really long, that passed the box about 2 foot on each side, and I put it down in the garage before I started throwing, just so that you can protect your garage floor. Because obviously if you're bouncing 2.5 inch washers off your garage floor constantly, you're going to chip it. And as a matter of fact, what I did is I pushed the box all the way up against the door, and I took my carpet and I ran it up the door a little bit. And I did that, the same thing over by the wall up here. Well, you can't see it now because of these coats, but up by my cabinet, so that people weren't bouncing off the cabinet. But we had a good time. It was good fun. Didn't cost much money, and it's a game that we'll be playing for years to come. Everybody seemed to love it, and we had a good time. Actually, probably 3/4 of the party ended up just being in the garage. So you guys be good, be careful, be safe. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll keep coming at you with new stuff.